Welcome in, everybody, to the Flagship Podcast interview. Chip Brown of Horns247.com, joined as always by my esteemed colleague, Eric Henry of Horns247.com. And today we are joined by the head coach of the 2-0 ULM Warhawks, Coach Bryant Vincent. Coach, how are you doing?
Doing great this morning, Chip. How you doing, buddy?
Well, we're doing great, but you've already matched the season win total for the ULM Warhawks from a year ago in your first year on the job. Congratulations on that. The victories over Jackson State and UAB, and your defense is currently giving up 10 points per game. That is top 20 in all of FBS. Let's start there, Coach. Talk about what's impressed you most about your defense.
I think really just as a unit, I just think that we've got a unit of guys that play hard. They communicate well. The first step is always being able to get lined up and know your assignment. So our guys are doing a great job. I feel like we play with a mentality and a toughness that we're trying to develop on that side of the ball. I think we've covered well in the back end. We've been able to hold up against the run against Jackson State and UAB, and we've been able to get some takeaways, which is big on that side of the ball. But overall, been pleased with the start. We've still got a long way to go, but obviously we're excited about the beginning.
Well, real quickly, Wes Williams. Seems like he's everywhere for you. Talk about Wes Williams and what he's bringing to your defense.
We were able to get Wydad in. We signed Wydad in December, so he was new. He came in January, had a great spring. He's tough. He's a very disciplined kid. He's a great teammate. He's one of the hardest workers on the team. Like even open days or, we're off for the 4th. We give him a couple of days off. He's up here. He's training. He's lifting. He's stretching. He's doing treatment. He's a pro in his approach each day. And he plays with a lot of energy, and he's the same guy every day. So he's been a big positive early in this season so far.
Coach, just kind of pick up where Chip left off. On the offensive side of the ball, getting a guy back like Elijah Fischer, obviously win games in the trenches. Just curious, what has he meant to the program after someone who's been there before your tenure starter, but also just his play this year and being one of the more veteran guys up front.
Hey, when we first got here in December, and it's been tough times here, in the past, and there's been, I guess, a way to say it is not a lot of success, probably the last decade or even the last several years for sure. And Elijah's been through some of those tough times. He's been here since 2020, where they didn't win a game in 20. So he's been through some tough times, but I really think that, throughout the January, February, that phase one of your off season where you're building your team, he was vital in his leadership, just in his belief, in his attitude. Him, Carl Glass, Carlin Vigors, Jalen Ware, a lot of those, Jay Mickle, a lot of those guys that have been here and been burned and been beat up. Eventually you do one or two things, you just accept it or you get tired of it and you want to do something about it. And Fish has been one of those guys that's wanted to do something about it and lead the charge.
Coach, one more chip and I'll toss it back to you. Coach, regular listeners of the show know that I covered Conference USA from 2017 to 2022, covering FIU. So very familiar with your time at UAB. And if anyone knows, Bryant Vincent offense was with Tyler Johnston or Dylan Hopkins, et cetera. You like to push the ball down the field. I'm not expecting you to give an entire game plan coming up this week. But just, with General Booty, kind of what have you seen from him so far? And just in year one, is that still a staple of something you're looking to do, is really your quarterbacks kind of test defenses downfield?
It is. It's something that we believed in for years, as you know, something that's part of our philosophy. We want to run the football first and foremost. We want to run outside zone and inside zone, and we want to play action off of it. And normally when we have success running the ball, we get one high, so we get opportunities to be able to push it downfield. I think in 18 and 20, we led the nation in yards per catch. In 19, we're top 5. So that's something we feel like that we're working on daily here, because that's got to be a part of who we are. And, you go to game one, Jackson State, we kind of controlled it, didn't really know what we were getting. So we were going to be very basic and very vanilla. We were able to add to take the next step in UAB. And that's something we've got to evolve in and evolve to for us to be, as productive as we want to be.
Talk about General Booty. I mean, what a name. Some Texas fans will remember him from, his time at OU, although he was, waiting to get his turn. Also spent a year at Tyler Junior College. And he's a native of Louisiana. So what are you getting in General Booty?
General came in June. We got him here, to start the summer. His football IQ is off the charts. He's got great leadership qualities. He was able to grasp the offense in a very short amount of time. He was really able throughout this summer and really started happening in June, July, and the 1st of August, just really, gel the offense and bring them together and give them a leader. And he's done a good job. We haven't asked a lot of him yet. It's going to grow as we go, but have been very pleased with General and really his leadership and his ability to run this offense.
Well, and tell us a little bit about number 22, Ahmad Hardy, freshman who's leading you right now in rushing.
I think that Ahmad he's a violent runner. He's a fast, explosive guy. We look for certain type of backs, in what we do with outside zone and the pistol. And you can go back to, Dwayne McBride, to Spencer Brown, to all the guys. We want those violent downhill runners that we feel like as the game goes, they continue to get stronger with the mentality and really the toughness that he possesses. I think that he's came in as a true freshman and done some great things, some things we're expecting to do. He's not a typical true freshman. He's very hard on himself. He's detailed. He's in the film room a lot extra on his own. So he's not your normal freshman. He's off to a good start. He's still got a lot of growing and developing to do. And I think a game like this is only going to help him as we continue to go down this journey.
Coach, for those who may not be familiar with kind of your journey, obviously you spent a lot of time coaching high school in Alabama, of course, with UAB, 2 stints, 2014, and then when the program, restarted in 2017, if memory serves me correct. Just a 2-part question for you. One, obviously you have a lot of UAB affiliated people on your staff, and just curious kind of why the decision to, go back to UAB when the program was restarted. And second, how much did last year at New Mexico and also your time as the interim head coach at UAB when Bill Clark decided to retire prepare you for where you are now?
I think, Coach Clark and I, we started it in 2014 when he first got the job and I came up as his first OC. And we went 6-6 year one, and it was something they'd only done one time. They'd been to one bowl game ever and lost the Hawaii Bowl. And we wanted to make history there. And when it shut down, obviously I think that's happened twice in college football, maybe 3 times now, and then be able to bring it back and finish something we started. And Coach Clark is a mentor of mine. He's a good friend of mine. We both grew up in the high school ranks in Alabama. He was the head coach at Prattville High School when I was the head coach at Greenville High School. We worked together on staff together when he was the defensive coordinator at South. So we always felt like Birmingham and in that opportunity, us working together, we could build something special, and we were able to do that. I think, being a head coach in high school for those 5 years played that experience alone. You're running a program, we got facilities built, you're leading, you're mentoring, you're running a business, you're recruiting your hallways. I think all those things, especially coming in with programs that were down, Greenville was 2-8, 1-9. We went 10-3. Spanish Fort was 0-17 when we got there, 4-6, 11-2, 11-3, 13-2. And then to go to the first bowl game at South, to the run we had at UAB. And then you go to New Mexico, the worst statistically offense in the country 2 years in a row. We were able to be the biggest turnaround in college football offensively last year. I think every experience you go through prepares you for the next one. And everything you go through with God's plan, it prepares you for the journey he's got set for you. And I believe that, being the head coach in Monroe is part of his plan. And I'm excited to be here. I'm honored to be here. We're focused on turning this program around, which it can be. There's no reason why when people unite and come together and we have a common purpose on what our mission is, we can't be successful here and win bowl games, be bowl champions, and compete for conference championships.
Last one for me, and I'll pass it back to Chip. Of course, it'd be remiss if we didn't just get your general thoughts on Texas. You're obviously facing the number one team in the nation. Just kind of give us an overview of what you've seen in the early prep for Texas on Saturday.
Yeah, obviously, it's been very impressive. I've coached against Georgia with Coach Smart the year they won the national championship. Been in a lot of Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, Mississippi State, Tennessee, you name it. The thing that impressed me, every phase is impressive. Defensively, they are coached to the T. Their technique and fundamentals is so impressive. They're very savvy, and that comes from coaching. They're elite athletes. Their front four, depending on which ones are in there, they're explosive. They're powerful. They're athletic. They use their hands extremely well. Their two inside linebackers are, they're dangerous. They're extremely dangerous. And their back end, they got great eyes. Man, they're great technicians. They're solid in the fundamentals. Offensively, depending on what you got, two NFL quarterbacks back there, depending on who's starting, their offensive line's massive and athletic. They've got elite speed and playmakers everywhere. And then their kicking game is I've known, Callie, I'm sorry, I apologize. The name slipped my mind. Their special teams coordinator. I've known Jeff from afar. He's phenomenal. He's detailed. They're very sound in what they do, and they're going to put a lot of pressure on you. We've got our hands full. This is the number one team in the country for a reason, but this is an opportunity for our kids to go out there. Our first road game of the year, we're playing the number one team in front of 100,000. I don't think there's anything else that's going to get us much more prepared as we journey into conference play than going on the road and playing a team like Texas with the history and tradition. To me, this is a place I've never been to A&M, been all over the SEC, but this is going to be, obviously, all the history and the tradition about Texas and what they stand for. And Sarkisian, he's continually improved the roster and built a power. They were a playoff team last year. I think what he's doing there now is special, and we're excited about the opportunity to come in there and play those guys.
Coach, what have you seen from Quinn Ewers, and then I guess your impressions of Arch Manning coming in off the bench last week?
I think Quinn, it's just, if you look at his time from his journey from, coming out that first year and he went to Ohio State, just his maturity and growth as a man and as a player, it goes hand in hand, and you can see why he's playing at such a high level last year and early this year. I think it's just because of his maturity, his talent. I think there's no doubt he's an NFL player. He's going to be a high draft pick. And then you watch Arch come in last week, and you know what he's done. And I respect that he came in, he had all this hype, and we know what kind of player he is. But he comes in and he's focused on developing. He focused on growing. And he knows his time's coming, and there's nothing wrong with growth and development and waiting for your clock to start. And then when he came in and his time's ready, look, his performance speaks for itself. And I think that's just believing in their system, believing in what the process should still be. And now you've got an elite team with two quarterbacks that are going to both be high round draft picks.
And Coach, you remind me, there are a lot of coaches who aren't happy unless they're taking over a program that seems to be, in complete shambles, and they want to build it up. And you're one of those fixer uppers. I mean, you do it everywhere you go. Talk about that. And do you look forward to the day when you take over a program that maybe is a little more built?
Right. It's obviously, it's hard to explain. And the best way I know how to say it is God's plan. That was his plan for me. I have a passion and a drive, and I still have it on 28 years to make change, to impact people, to impact towns, to impact businesses, so to speak, and getting kids, showing them that it can be done, that it can be done. and there's a certain recipe it takes everybody. It takes everybody uniting and getting kids to believe in themselves, and programs to get off the mat, to get out of the basement, to get off the floor and fight for themselves and fight together. And I think there's power in that. And it's special when you see a community and a town and a university and obviously a team come together as one and make history and change things. And I think that's what this country needs. It needs change, and this town needs it. This team needs it. And I feel like we're on track, where we're at, and we've got to continue this climb and this journey. But I like where the belief in our kids, I like the love that our kids are starting to develop for each other and for this town. We fight for this town and this university, and it is a purpose of ours and a mission of ours to get this program back to where it needs to be.
Well, is Cormier's still there?
It is. It is. I've eaten over probably 300 pounds of crawfish. It was right down the street from my house, and I love crawfish. And they saw me a lot there this last spring and summer.
Yeah, I love it. It's a old gas station, and they bring you out the cardboard box of crawdads. It's fantastic. It's good to hear.
It's still fantastic. The food here in Monroe and the people in Monroe are awesome. They really are. The food is, without a doubt, outstanding.
Well, I guess one more thing in this age of constant change in college athletics, the NIL, the transfer portal, how do you navigate that, Coach? Because we talk to so many, G5 coaches who do a great job of developing players, and then the big programs come in and try to lure that talent away. How do you deal with that?
I think the biggest thing is from day one, whoever comes in this program, whoever we recruit into this program, we're honest and we're real and we're genuine and we say exactly who we are and we own who we are. Look, we want you to come to ULM. We want you to come here because you want to make history. You want to change this program and be a bowl champion year in, year out, compete for conference championships. That's the mission, is to make history, make a difference, and do something special, something that's never been done. And the kids, that's our message, because that's what it is, and it's real. And we want guys that want to be a part of that mission. So we're not begging people to be here. We want the right kind of kids that want to fight together and fight for this town and university to get it where it wants to be. And to me, that there's value in that. There's a purpose in that, to do things. And to me, that's what we're about. We're not going to chase the portal. We're not going to chase guys that don't want to be here. We want guys that want to own this. And when you got guys that own who you are every day and who you want to become and be, then there's strength in that and there's power in that. And we've seen that the first 2 weeks, we do believe, on where we're going.
Eric, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, Coach, really appreciate the time. Know you're going 100 miles an hour. We'll look forward to seeing you in Austin on Saturday night.
Hey, absolutely. Look forward to it. Eric, Chip, thanks for having me on, man. Hey, and go Warhawks. Thanks, buddy.
Hey. For Coach
Appreciate
Bryant Vincent, for Eric Henry, I am Chip Brown. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Flagship Podcast interview with ULM football coach Bryant Vincent. Until next time, stay safe and keep the faith.